Instant analysis. Welcoming former World Series champ David Samson, won in 2003. Jack McKeon at the time, 72 years old, the oldest manager to win a World Series. Now it's Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker wins this World Series thanks in part to Yordan Alvarez, a timely home run because he was not great after the series against the Mariners, and hits a blast that goes 450, Dave. We stood up out of our seats. We couldn't believe it.
It went over the batter's eye. That's hard to do in batting practice. But that was all set up. When you get the home run from Schwarber, Philly had a 1-0 lead. They were the team to score first. They got to Valdez. A lefty Schwarber hitting a home run off the lefty Valdez, who doesn't give up home runs to left-handed hitters. The most important inning of every game is the inning after your team gets a run for you. And Wheeler could not get Altuve out. He could not get Pena out. And then he got taken out of the game. Alvarado comes in, which is what Rob Thompson has done the entire series. And Rob Thompson did it again, but Alvarado could not get Alvarez out this time, and he hit a 3-run home run. And that is the difference in the game. Let's not forget the insurance run from Christian Vasquez, because if not, then Harper's up as the tying run in that 9th inning. So there's a lot of things that happened tonight, but the number one of which is the Houston Astros get their second World Series title in 6 years. Dusty Baker has a ring on his finger as a manager after all those years. I couldn't be more happy for Dusty Baker and the entire Astros organization, who are the best team in baseball this season and this postseason.
Jeremy Pena moving the runners along there in that inning, first and third, right? Moves Altuve over to third with a base hit up the middle, who's made a case for World Series MVP. We'll get to that announcement shortly, but here's a kid, a rookie, who wins ALCS MVP, a Gold Glove, has had a hit in every World Series game, and comes up big just to move the runner along so that Yordan Alvarez can come up and hit the homer.
Yeah, he did it on both sides of the ball. There's no question. He had a defensive play tonight in the first inning, in the second inning with Bryce Harper, which could have given, it was the first inning. I'll get it right. We're live, and the Astros won the World Series.
It was the first inning.
In the first inning, Pena is on the wrong side of the bag, and when shifts are eliminated next season, he won't be playing there. But as a shortstop, he made a phenomenal defensive play. And in the first inning, Valdez was on the ropes. And we talked about it before the game started. When you're facing an ace like Valdez, you've got to get him early, and you've got to get the big hit. Pena takes away the big hit with a defensive play, and then he gets 2 more hits. He does the little things, and he's a rookie. It reminded me a lot of what Miguel Cabrera did for us as a rookie in '03. And the one thing that I'll point out for Pena, if you're watching this when you get back to the hotel, or your house, which is what we did after winning '03, we watched all of these highlight shows. You may not win another one. Enjoy this one. You think you'll win one every year, but you may not. Pena will win the MVP. Valdez has a shot, Hakeem, and if not Valdez, in addition, Presley.
Well, we saw that defensive play made by Jeremy Pena in the first, and then the next inning, Edmundo Sosa skies one to left that could have been a double, and Yordan Alvarez reaches up 6'5" and grabs it. Inning over.
He needed every one of those inches, right?
Yeah.
Those 65 inches that I am would never have gotten to that ball. He was able to do it. He was playing left field. He was not DHing. Christian Vasquez was DHing because Gurriel got hurt, which makes Mancini play first. So all sorts of things happened that made Alvarez catch that ball. And it's a big play because if that goes off the wall, that's going to be a double. So every defensive play the Astros made. The Phillies, their defense was not perfect tonight. Schwarber bobbled the ball twice, actually, that got Altuve to second base, moves him over. So little things. We thought the Phillies would have a series, would give the Astros a series. But here's what happened in the last 3 games, Hakeem. Where's the Phillies' offense?
Not sure where it went.
No hitter.
Yep.
2 runs 2 days ago. Yep. And 1 run, just the Schwarber home run today.
Yeah.
You're not going to win many games, and that's about Houston pitching. That's what rings, pitching, defense.
The bullpen gave up 2 earned runs the entire World Series.
You're going to win.
I mean,
that's the bottom line. You're going to win. And when they go to Alvarado, I'm not going to blame Rob Thompson. I'm not going to blame Dave Dombrowski. The Phillies had an incredible year with an interim manager. It's hard to get an interim manager all the way through the World Series. An incredible year. But at the end of the day, You look at this from the Phillies standpoint, the Astros were better than you going into the series. They were highly favored and heavily favored, and all the things ended up being exactly right. Bullpen better, lineup better, starting pitching better.
Dusty Baker wins his first World Series as manager. Won one as a player in '81 with the Dodgers. But now he can validate his career as a Hall of Famer with a World Series title at 73 years old, 25 seasons as a big league skipper. What does this mean for Dusty Baker?
It means everything. When he got a chance, he interviewed to become the Phillies manager, and it went to Girardi, ironically. He's wanted to come back and manage. He's a manager. He was always really nice to our visiting clubhouse managers, but he liked everything a certain way. We had to line up his toothpicks a certain way and his wristbands a certain way. Very particular, but such a good person. Good to everyone around. The players love playing for Dusty Baker. And if you look at his resume now, some people thought he didn't need the ring to get to Cooperstown. I thought he did. We're never going to know, but he is going to get to Cooperstown. Between his career as a player and now what he's done as a manager, he'll go in as a manager, a World Series winning manager.
All right, so I'm a baseball fan. I'm a diehard baseball fan, right? How am I supposed to feel about this World Series title for the Astros, considering what happened in 2017, when I look at the franchise as a whole, when I look at what went on, how that guys never really owned up to it, and a lot of those guys aren't on this team. There's only 5 players remaining on this team. Lance McCullers, Justin Verlander, Alex Bregman, Altuve, and give me the other
Lance
one.
McCullers.
I thought I said Lance McCullers. We missed one there.
Justin Verlander.
I think we said him.
Altuve, Bregman,
yes.
Gurriel.
Yes.
You said all 5 of those?
We said them all 5.
That's 5.
Yeah, we said them all 5. So how am I supposed to feel about this World Series title if I'm like outside of Houston, right? All the Astros fans they're excited, they're ecstatic. I even talked just before I get your answer to this, because I even spoke with a couple Astros fans in Philadelphia. I said, do you feel like your team has to win this title to validate what happened in 2017? They said, absolutely, we do. That's what the fans were saying. Now, that's a small sample size. There was a couple fans out of the 46,000 that are there at Minute Maid Park tonight. But I'm curious, how are we supposed to feel about the Astros winning the World Series?
What scares me most is the way that we end up feeling, is the way that the media portrays how we should feel, and so we end up following that. And the way this is going to be written, the legacy is going to be redemption. The legacy is going to be that Dusty Baker and the Astros did not cheat, and they won a legitimate World Series now. My point of view, having been there, is every team was trying to do what the Astros were doing in 17. I was a part of it. The Astros have built an incredible dynasty through the draft, amateur, through the international signings and draft. They have gotten unbelievable free agent signings. Go back to Charlie Morton. They have signed pitchers who have worked. They've signed position players who have worked. They've made trades that have worked. They are the envy because they spend money and they spend it smartly and they win. They win. They win, Hakeem. It's not about 2017. Getting to the World Series is impossible, and they've done it 4 times in 6 years. You can talk garbage cans all you want. To me, the Astros are a legitimate dynasty for what they've done over the last 6 years, including 17. This, to me, is their 2nd World Series championship. But you're going to hear it all because Jim Crane, the owner, is going to talk about it because he would walk around owners' meetings talking about it, saying, we got to win another one. We have to win another one because I don't want anyone talking about 17. He wouldn't even wear his ring because he was embarrassed by it. He'll wear this one. I'd wear both.
Wow. Okay. That's fine. You can certainly have that opinion. I just feel that if I'm sort of representing the fan of Major League Baseball right now, because that's partly my job as a host, is I feel like fans of baseball are sour to what the Astros did in 2017. So this World Series certainly gives them redemption. It's not about them getting the World Series last year or then they lost in 2019, because then it was like, oh, well, you don't have the trash cans now. Of course you're not winning. They didn't have the trash cans this year. At least we don't think they did. We didn't hear any. I didn't hear any in Philadelphia, and I wasn't in Houston. But
they've moved on.
They won it. But my point is this is the one where they win and you feel like they won it, as you said, legit. This is a legit World Series title, and that this finally sort of, I'm not saying it erases everything in the past, but this World Series feels like, okay, I will honor this World Series title. Because in 2017, I can tell you, baseball fans, when we look back at 2017, we say, that's an asterisk next to that one.
Right.
Not that I would say this one, this is legit.
The Yankees and Dodgers agree with you, but the other 27 teams in Major League Baseball do not.
Right.
The Astros World Series in 2017 was legit in the mind of 27 teams. Legit. Yankees have sour grapes, Dodgers have sour grapes, but not anybody else. But let me ask you this. You're saying they're legitimate because they won this series? Last year, they get to the World Series and lose in 6. They lose to the Nationals in 7 games in 2019. So they have to beat the Phillies in 6. That's what makes them legitimate past 17. It's the winning that fourth game.
It's the World Series title next to their resume. So when we look up in however many 10 years from now, we go, okay, they won in 2017 and it says cheating scandal next to it. 2022, there's no asterisk. There's no paragraph next to that World Series that said, oh, but they did this. It's a clean World Series. From what we know, there could be information that comes out from now. But from the current information we know, this is a clean World Series title. And when you play clean and you win clean, that's when fans go, okay, we'll move on. You are World Series champs in 2022. We will honor that. We will verify that. And we will tip our cap to that.
I'm glad that no one's verifying 03. I'm glad that no one's verifying 04 with the Red Sox. I'm glad no one's verifying 09 with the Yankees. I'm glad that no one's verifying anything. I think that we have 2 interesting points of view here, me and Hakeem Dermish, which is what happens on CBS Sports HQ with this sort of quality. I don't happen to agree. I think that they have been legitimate from the beginning because watching them build their team has been spectacular to watch. In a different way than the Tampa Bay Rays, who win every year on a small payroll, what the Astros have done is win pennants, and that's the goal. You want to get to the World Series and give yourself a chance. And the fact that they're 2-2 in the last 4 out of 6 World Series is simply incredible, and they are lined up to continue winning. This is not as though their window is closed right now at all. And that's what is even more interesting, and we're not looking ahead to 2023 yet. We haven't put a bow on it. But if you ask those 5 players who were on 17 and on 22, they're breathing a sigh of relief right now because they're going to answer questions about 17, and they're going to answer it by saying, we're just so happy we won this year, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. But for the other 20 guys who were on the team in 17, they are world champions. For the new 21 guys who are on this team, they are world champions as part of a dynasty franchise. All in all, very positive. Hakeem, I think we got to mention one thing about the Phillies.
Yeah, we can mention for sure.
The Philadelphia Phillies, what they did this season, they put together a team in the offseason where we did not have a lot of great expectations. The thought was that they had defensive liabilities.
Let me stop you, though, before you go. Constructed coming out of spring training, you could make the argument they were a playoff team in the expanded playoff format. Because I remember looking at that roster, and I said, I think this Phillies team will make the playoffs. Did I have them going to the World Series? No. But playoff spot with Castellanos, Hoskins, Real Muto, Harper, the starting pitching of Nola, Wheeler. Obviously, we didn't see the growth of Ranger Suarez yet. But this was a team that looked like a winning team. They looked broken in April and May when I saw them play the Mets. But they turned a corner, David.
There's no question about it. I think that when you look back at preseason expectations and predictions, they were looked at as no better than 3rd in the NL East, which, by the way, is where they finished. The Mets were going to be better and the Braves were going to be better, and they ended up being better, both those teams being 100-win teams. But here's what the Phillies had that the Mets and Braves did not have. The Phillies had an offense that would not slump until the final 3 games of the World Series, and they had a pitching staff that had 2 people pitching like aces, and they combined it with a really hot back end of the bullpen and then covered it with a new manager coming in the beginning of May or June when they were 22-29 and made everyone calm. And Rob Thompson got them all the way to Game 6 of the World Series, led by Bryce Harper, led by a lockdown bullpen that got tired, led by an offense that was phenomenal, that did some disappearing, there's no doubt, but that's what happens in the postseason. But Philadelphia deserves a ton of credit for the season they had, and they're not all the way there because until you get the ring, you're not all the way there.
Yeah, but certainly a dream season that just didn't end with a World Series. I mean, the expectations when you fire your manager in June to think you're going to get to the World. If I told our Philly fans here that work at CBS Sports HQ, you're going to be in the World Series after being 22-29. They would have looked at me and said, "You're an idiot. What, are you kidding me?" They would have said, "There's no chance." They would have said, "The bullpen's not good. Our defense is bad. We're lost right now." But but that's what they did. They figured out defensively, pitching, their bullpen was not a punchline when it came to the postseason. They cleaned things up. They loved playing for Rob Thompson. Look, for me, that was a fun team to cover in the World Series. The Phillies were loose. They were fun. They were a fun team to root for in terms of being a baseball fan. Because, I'm a Cleveland fan, but rooting for the Phillies was easy because they were a great underdog story. So all the credit goes to the Phillies and what they were able to accomplish throughout this postseason. Remember, I'll take you back to game one of the wild card. They were down. They scored 6 runs in the 9th. They had a 1-out. That was incredible what they did to even get to this position. Look, it was a heck of a season for the Phillies.
The analytics for me let down the Phillies. And too much, we don't talk about analytics in baseball and how teams are going all analytic. Analytics have you put in Alvarado to face Alvarez again in that 6th inning. Analytics say you do lefty-lefty, that Alvarado's not going to give up a home run, that Alvarez is 4 for his last 41, hasn't hit a home run in a month since he played the Mariners. But the fact is that Alvarez had seen Alvarado every time in this series that Alvarado pitched. And when that happens, it's to the benefit of the player. We were always very careful, and we weren't totally analytic in 03 by any stretch, but we were keeping track of who was facing who on the Yankees. Who did Jeter see the most? Who did Bernie Williams see the most? And the reason we did that is the advantage goes from pitcher to hitter once there is some sort of recognition. That's why you don't like a starting pitcher, for analytics purposes, going 3 times through. But analytics said, bring in Alvarado. My eyes, talking to Dermish where we watched the game, said, listen, this is a moment where they needed the shutdown inning, and Alvarado came in. Remember what he did 2 games ago with the bases loaded?
He hit a batter.
Didn't get Alvarez out. He hit Alvarez, and Alvarez started that big inning to win the game.
Yep.
So a lot of things happened that Houston took advantage of, and Philly was not able to, and that's why you get Astros.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, I would not have brought Jose Alvarado in that spot because he already showed you he couldn't get out of that spot with the bases loaded. What makes you think he's going to
first and third one out?
What makes you think he's going to get out of that inning?
He actually said that before. I want to make sure this is not any sort of confirmation bias. He said that. We watched the game together before Alvarado gave up the home run, and we were watching saying this may not be the best move. So it's not that we're coaching and criticizing the result. We're actually talking process here, and that's important.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.